Think about this for a second. It's Friday night, your phone is blowing up with invites to a party or some loud dinner, but you're looking at your pajamas like they're a tuxedo. You feel a genuine wave of excitement about absolutely nothing. No plans, no small talk, and definitely no pants with a zipper. You know that friend who always cancels at the last minute because they're tired? But you suspect they're actually just 3 episodes deep into a documentary? Maybe that friend is you. Society calls people like us boring or antisocial, but science has a much more interesting explanation. It turns out staying home isn't just about being lazy. There's a deep psychological reason why your living room feels like a 5-star resort while the outside world feels like a battlefield. Today, we're going to look at the hidden wiring of the homebody and discover why your couch might be the key to your mental health. Let's start with the battery saver. Imagine a guy named Chris. Chris is great at his job. He's friendly and people actually like him. But by 5 p.m., he feels like a phone on 1% battery. For Chris, every social interaction, even the fun ones, is a withdrawal from his energy bank. This is what psychologists call optimal arousal theory. See, some people need a lot of noise and movement to feel normal. Those are the extroverts. But for people like Chris, their nervous system is highly sensitive. The world out there is too loud, too bright, and has too many unpredictable variables. Home is the only place where the stimulation level is exactly where it needs to be. For the battery saver, staying home isn't about hiding, it's about plugging back into the wall so they don't shut down completely. Do you find yourself checking your internal battery before you say yes to an invite? Then there's the master of the environment. Think about a woman named Sarah. Sarah lives a high-stress life, or everyone wants something from her. When she's at work or out in public, she has to navigate loud strangers, bad lighting, and small talk with people who don't really care about the answer. But the second she walks through her front door, she is the queen of her castle. She controls the lighting, the temperature, the music, and the vibe. For people with high sensitivity or anxiety, this isn't just a luxury, it's survival. Psychologists say that having a space where you have total control lowers your cortisol levels almost instantly. Home is the only place where the world stops being unpredictable. If you feel a physical sigh of relief the moment you lock your door, you're likely seeking that sense of environmental mastery. But here's the twist. Let's look at the deep ritualist. This is the person who finds genuine joy in the tiny things that most people rush past. Think about the guy who has a very specific way of making his morning coffee, or the woman who knows exactly how the light hits her favorite chair at sunset. These people have what's called a low stimulation preference. They don't need a nightclub or a vacation to feel alive because their inner world is rich enough to keep them entertained. They find more depth in rewatching a comfort show or reading a book than they do in making memories at a crowded bar. Society pushes this best life culture where you're supposed to be constantly doing something epic. But for the ritualist, the epic stuff is happening in the quiet moments. Is your favorite adventure just a quiet Saturday with zero obligations? Now we have to address the shadow side. Not everyone stays home because it fills them up. Some people stay home because leaving feels too heavy. Imagine someone who wants to go out, but their brain whispers, "What's the point?" Or, "What if you embarrass yourself?" For them, home starts as a refuge but slowly turns into a cage. This is the difference between solitude and isolation. One is a choice that gives you power. The other is a retreat caused by fear or depression. It's important to ask yourself, are you staying home because it makes you feel peaceful or because the world outside feels too scary to face? Understanding that distinction is the difference between healthy self-care and staying stuck. Look, if you're someone who turns down invitations without feeling guilty, you aren't broken. You're just wired for depth over noise. You're wired for peace over performance. In a world that never stops talking, there is a special kind of power in being the person who knows how to be still. You aren't missing out on life, you're just living it on your own terms, in a space that actually respects your energy. So, how does this land for you? Do you recognize yourself in these profiles? Or maybe you finally understand why your boring friend is actually the happiest person you know. The answers we seek about our happiness are usually hidden in these quiet corners of our personality. If you're ready to stop apologizing for loving your peace and want to see more of the psychology behind who you really are, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep dissecting the patterns that actually shape our lives, even if we're doing it from the comfort of our own couch. Thanks for watching and enjoy your night.